OpenAI just dropped GPT-5, their most powerful and capable model yet. But hype is cheap, so instead of playing with this in a chat window, I'm putting GPT-5 straight into the real AI agents that run our media company, The Recap. These are the same systems we rely on every single day to write newsletters, create videos, and post to social media. We'll see how it stacks up against Gemini 2.5 Pro and Claude Sonnet 4 in a series of live production-grade tests and see which model actually comes out on top. Let's find out if GPT-5 really is the upgrade everyone's hoping for. Alright guys, here's the game plan of everything that I want to cover in this video. Number one here is going to be setting up GPT-5 inside of our n8n instance, so we're going to be able to use this in our AI automations and our AI agents. I haven't gone through this setup before. I want to do this with you guys side by side. Step number two here is going to be coming over to this content repurposing automation that we built before that's currently using Claude Sonnet 4. We want to get this switched out, uplifted to GPT-5, and do a side-by-side of what the output looks like on each model. We're not going to change the prompts, not going to change any of the nodes. We just want to see what the pure model differences are. After that's done, we're going to move on to number three here, which is going to be uplifting this AI marketing agent that we built to use GPT-5. Currently, this whole agent is powered by Gemini 2.5 Pro, and we want to swap out the model to GPT-5 just to see how well it performs with instructions, using the tools that I would expect it to do, and with its general output. We covered a full breakdown of this marketing agent in a previous video, so I highly recommend you check that out on our channel. Let's dive into it. All right, I'm inside this content repurposing workflow in n8n, and let's see if we can get GPT-5 up and running here. I'm gonna go ahead here to the right side, search for OpenAI chat model, grab this, and let's just make sure this is on the canvas. I'll pull this up, make sure that I have my OpenAI credential already connected. If you haven't set this up yet, go to Create Credential, go to your OpenAI platform page, grab your API key, and paste it in here. I already have this, and so I'm just going to use my existing credential. The next step is going to be selecting GPT-5 from this list. I think you need to be on the latest version of n8n for this to appear for you. I am, so I'm going to see GPT-5 here. But if you don't see this, go ahead and go to By ID. Let's clear this out. And then if you go to the OpenAI announcement page where we introduce GPT-5 for developers, you're going to find the name of the models here. And so we have GPT-5, GPT-5 Mini, and GPT-5 Nano. Go ahead and grab the name of the model that you want to use. I'm going to come back here, paste that in, close out and save, and then we should be up and running with our GPT-5 model to power these two LLM chain calls. Let's now go through the process of converting this current workflow from Claude Sonnet 4 over to GPT-5. At a high level, what this AI automation does is it allows us to paste in one of our own YouTube video URLs. It's going to scrape the transcript of that video to gather up all the text and what was said during the video, and fork that off into two separate content repurposing paths. The top one here is going to repurpose the YouTube transcript into an engagement optimized Twitter post, and this bottom path is going to repurpose it into an engagement optimized LinkedIn post. For both of these, we have some good examples set up that we want the model to follow when it analyzes what makes a good Twitter or LinkedIn post, and then we're going to go ahead and have the model write it. And so I already did a test run with Claude Sonnet 4. Next, let's get GPT-5 wired up here and switch it over. So the process for this is going to be pretty simple. Honestly, all we have to do is just delete our connections here between all of the different LLM chain calls. And then I also have this auto-fix format structured output parser set up. And so I need to connect that as well. So we'll just delete these, and then for each LLM model input that is required, we're just going to go ahead and drag that to our GPT-5 model we've set up here. So I'll save this, make sure this all looks good, and let's give this a test run. I'll go to our content library here on the recap. Let's find a good video. Let's do this one where we rebuilt the Cal AI clone powered by n8n as a backend. If you haven't seen this, highly suggest you give it a look. It's a great video on connecting Lovable to n8n. Anyway, we'll go back here, go ahead and start this workflow, and come back in a moment here once that finishes. All right, the execution of this workflow just finished up with GPT-5. And before we jump over to the output, I do want to make note that using GPT-5 on this run did take significantly longer on both the LLM chain call to write the tweet and to write the LinkedIn post. Something just to make note of, it may be because today is the launch day for GPT-5 and there is just a huge spike in usage, but do want to call that out, and is something you pay attention to if latency is a big concern. There are also the other models like GPT-5 Mini and GPT-5 Nano that may be worth checking out here too if you need lower latency responses. Let's jump over to the output so we can see a side-by-side. Here is the output of the two different AI models running the exact same prompts on that content repurposing workflow. On the left, we have the output for Claude Sonnet 4, and on the right, we have our GPT-5 output. Let's look at each and see who comes out on top. Quickly glancing at this, the thing that jumps out to me most is going to be the hook on both. So on the Claude Sonnet 4 hook, we say, I built an AI nutrition analyzer that processes unlimited meal photos, fully automated, runs while you sleep. And then on the right side, we have this hook. Apps like Calorie AI are doing 20 million a year off basically a single open AI call. Just kind of reframing this and what the goal of this content repurposing, factory and workflow is. It's going to be taking one of our own videos of the Recap AI and repurposes it into a tweet for us to share to further promote the video. So off the bat here, I feel like Claude Sonnet completely missed the mark at what we're trying to do. It does follow the format of one of the examples that we shared in the prompt, but it took it completely in the wrong direction. We're trying to promote the workflow breakdown we did inside of n8n versus promoting this Cal AI app itself. And so I got to give the winner here to GPT-5 on this tweet output. Here's our output here for our LinkedIn post to repurpose that same video. Again, on the left is Claude Sonnet 4, on the right is GPT-5. One thing just off the bat is the different length and outputs we're seeing here. I think on the left-hand side, Claude is matching the target output much closer to what I would like to see on an ideal LinkedIn post. This is getting pretty verbose here. And then at the bottom here, there's this section where it says hiccups, a few. I think that's excessive and doesn't really add a lot of value to the post. Looking at both of these side by side, the formatting is good. We're targeting a much more professional audience, and there's kind of a very specific LinkedIn style to writing that I think both GPT-5 was able to pick up as well as Claude Sonnet 4. Looking at the hooks here, we can see that both of these are mentioning that, the 20 million per year hook to get that money number up in center, which is good. But I do think I got to give the edge here to Claude Sonnet 4 on just an overall cohesive hook. Basically with this transition here, so I decided to reverse engineer it and build a complete clone using no tools. This, where we asked how fast could we build that with no code, answer one afternoon. It is a little bit more baity, but I think I got to give the edge here to Claude Sonnet 4. I'd rather post this. Going between the two on both the Twitter repurposing and the LinkedIn repurposing, I'd say GPT-5 took the win on tweets, but lost on the LinkedIn output. Let's now move on to number 3 here, which is going to be uplifting our AI marketing agent to use GPT-5 and compare how this agent works to the current setup of Gemini 2.5 Pro. So right now, I think this should be pretty easy to swap out. We only have this single chat model node wired up. So let's delete this and see if we can get our OpenAI chat model connected. So we'll search for that again on the right-hand side, drag this down, and let's see if we can configure GPT-5. And so if you don't see this, once again, you can just type GPT-5 out from this by ID option. I'll go ahead and name this GPT-5, and we can continue forward here with testing. The first thing I'm going to do here is let's do the starting part of our regular workflow here at the recap, where we're going to ask our agent to go ahead and write today's edition of the newsletter. When I type this out and give the command to write the newsletter, I would expect our marketing agent to run here, possibly think through the decision it needs to make, and then it should be calling into this write newsletter tool that we have configured. So let's give that a shot. I'm going to be using this tool to transcribe my writing called Whisperflow so I can actually talk in the prompt. Can you write today's edition of our newsletter? So we got that entered. I'm going to send this and let's see what happens here. All right, so we can see it running here. Our agent did look to the memory first to see if there was something already there that it needs to retrieve, which is interesting. We're spinning right now on our call into the GPT-5 model, and let's see what goes forward from here. No think tool was getting used, but the correct tool usage of write newsletter did get called. So that does match what I was expecting. So I'm going to stop this here, pull up and commit a previous version of this newsletter to memory and see if this agent with GPT-5 is going to be able to go forward. All right, so I'm back here. I did ask a single chat where I asked the agent to commit this content that I pasted in to today's newsletter. This is something that I have tested before with Gemini 2.5 Pro. And in some cases, the agent would take that command and start trying to write the newsletter again. So far, this is a good sign that our agent read this message, logged into memory, and is able to continue forward without any other action. So good signs looking here for GPT-5. Let's go forward with another command here and see if we can generate some images. I now want you to generate images for each core section of today's newsletter. So we got that here. I'm going to send this off. And let's see this agent in action. So GPT-5 is getting called. I would expect some amount of memory usage to happen here, which it looks like it did. And for each of the 4 core sections of the newsletter, I would expect that generate image tool to get called 4 times. So 4 times in total, to clarify. All right, so after a little bit of a wait here from GPT-5 spinning, we can see here in our log that 4 generate image tool calls were triggered. So far this looks great, and this is matching exactly what I would expect on the first shot of this agent going. Well, just now, I did see a couple more appear here, and we'll have to dig into this a little bit closer. There should be only 4 core stories in this newsletter, and so I think it did not interpret that correctly. It may have picked up the intro or the AI tools section as a core section. So let's inspect this further. So inspecting this a little bit further, we can see calendar invite hack, that's a core story. Jules AI agent, core story. The $1 million or $1 billion deal, that's a core story. This text-to-speech model, that's a core story. But then these bottom 2 at the end here for trending AI tools and the shortlist roundup wouldn't match my definition of the core story. So that is interesting to see. It did generate more images than I would expect. Didn't really break anything. I would say the more important part is correctly calling into generate image, but that is just something interesting to note. Moving on, let's go forward and see how it does with dealing some of the other typical marketing team commands that it's going to repurpose content to Twitter, to short form video scripts, and generate talking head avatar videos. When we go forward with repurposing today's top story into a Twitter thread that we can promote our newsletter. So we're going to send this in, and let's see what happens. I would expect in a correct usage setting here that we're going to load up the newsletter content from memory, not call any of these previous tools here, but instead use that memory to go forward into generating this Twitter thread. Let's see if that matches what we expect. So we can see this tool just finished up, which matches the one exactly like we were expecting. Compared to previous runs with Gemini 2.5 Pro, I have seen in the past where the AI agent would call into writing this newsletter tool once again, thinking it had to rewrite the newsletter for the day after it had already been created. So this is another big point here for GPT-5 that I would give over Gemini 2.5 Pro. It went to the memory, it wrote the Twitter thread, and it's good to go. And then if I come here into Slack where it shares that final output, I do see that this Twitter thread is around the top story of hackers hijacking smart homes using a Gemini vulnerability. So this looks good, and it didn't hallucinate anything here on what today's top story should be. So pretty impressed with this so far. Let's go ahead forward into a couple of the other tools and see if we're able to maintain this quality of tool usage. So our CMO actually wants a short form video script created today for the same story around the Gemini AI Google Calendar hack. Can we go ahead and repurpose this story into a short form script? So that's going to get transcribed and put in here. I'm going to send this. And once again, I'm expecting this story to get loaded out from memory, passed into this tool here, and repurposed into a short form video script. So right away, that looks good. Let's see if this content was loading like we would expect. So the parameter to this is going to be today's date, which is August 7th. That matches correctly. Let's see how this goes. All right, so this execution of my latest chat just finished up. And what was interesting here is I actually had an edge case I didn't account for in my sub workflow here that's going to be writing that short form news script. And so what happened was this tool failed. It went back to the agent and then loaded up that story from memory. After it was loaded up from memory, the marketing agent went forward, still using those details to write me a short form video script, which is pretty interesting. The output wasn't exactly what I wanted, like we configured here in this tool, but it is interesting to see how it self-recovers. If you don't want this, this may be some behavior you need to address for in your guardrails section of your marketing agent system prompt, but that's interesting to see happen live on what happens when things don't go nearly as expected. Let's go on a little bit further here and see how it handles a action that requires multiple tool calls. So for this one, we want to trigger something to do with content research. And basically on the happy path usage of this flow, we want something to be deep researched and then sent over email. So one command, multiple tools getting used. Let's see how GPT-5 is able to handle it. I'm going to be leaving for today. I want you to go forward with preparing a research report on the model context protocol. I've been seeing this everywhere, and I want a report emailed to me immediately. We'll send this off and see how GPT-5 is able to handle this. Like I mentioned before, I would expect this deep research topic to get called first around the model context protocol. And then after that is completed, I would expect the contents of that report to then get passed into this email research report tool and end up in my inbox. Let's see what happens. So here we have the deep research topic tool getting ran as expected, which is a good sign. The research report has completed here. And let's see if it's able to correctly pick up that it needs to email us that research report. And there it goes. I called into that tool. It's finishing up here. We're going to get our final response, and I think everything looks good. All in all, I'm very impressed with GPT-5 as the brain to control this marketing team agent we built out. This is something that's a pretty complex workflow that needs to work with multiple tools and heavily rely on memory access throughout the course of a day and a long-running period. And on the first try here, GPT-5 was able to do that extremely well. When I was building previously with Gemini 2.5 Pro, I hit tons of issues where the writing newsletter tool was getting called on a lot of the repurposing steps, even if it had already ran for the day. And so I would say a big weakness of Gemini 2.5 Pro was being able to resolve details from memory reliably and consistently the more and more that I used this agent. So I got to give this a big win to GPT-5 as the brain to power the agent. All right, so now let's look and chat through some of the results here. Going back to that first AI workflow we wanted to uplift with the content repurposing factory, I do got to give the slight edge here to GPT-5. I think GPT-5 was the clear winner in both the hook and content of the tweet we wrote, but unfortunately it was a little bit behind on the overall quality of the LinkedIn post. It was way too verbose. Claude had a better hook and a better content length that I think is more formidable for the LinkedIn post we're trying to create and distribute to our audience. The reason why I chose GPT-5 here as a clear winner was because Claude 4 completely missed the mark on the tweet content where it was talking about us trying to promote a lovable app that we built ourselves rather than the n8n workflow, which was the core concept of the video. GPT-5's ability here to ingest the transcript, understand what we're really going for, does make it the winner in my opinion. So then moving on to the agent results where we compare GPT-5 to Gemini 2.5 Pro, I do got to give the clear victory here to GPT-5. When building, the tool usage and error recovery made it the clear winner. When I was building with Gemini 2.5 Pro, I did hit frequent issues where wrong tools were getting used and tool calls were being made redundant, often leading to a lot of wasted time and a lot of wasted tokens. Even though that Gemini had a little bit more latency here for the day-to-day agent work that we do, like in our marketing team agents, I do got to go forward with GPT-5 as my pick for the winner. Now, if I was building a voice agent and it was working under some circumstance where low latency was essential, I would still go forward with Gemini 2.5 Pro or one of the Flash models just due to the speed it's able to operate on. On both the AI workflow that we were building for the content repurposing factory and on the marketing team agent, GPT-5 did operate a lot slower and had a lot more latency. I hope this was helpful, and if you want to see more breakdowns like this comparing models, Let me know in the comment section below.
All right, before you go, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Seriously, do it, because we're gonna be breaking down all of the AI automations that we use to run all of our businesses. They're super helpful, and we're gonna break down exactly how we do them on this YouTube channel. So make sure like and then subscribe, and then you'll get notified when we publish new workflows that can make your businesses run 20 times more efficiently, just like we're seeing here at The Recap and the other businesses that we're running. The other item is join our Skool community for free. The link's in the description. You'll be able to get this template, this automation that we just ran through in this video, completely for free. You can go to Skool and navigate to the video that you want, and then you can download the JSON output for the n8n automation. So like and subscribe, join our free community to get this automation for yourself, and we'll see you in the next video.